Guys, it was staring us right in the face. What does the M in M1 stand for? What's going on, geeks? So I've had a few days since WWDC to kind of collect my thoughts. I've read a lot of your comments. I've watched a lot of other tech YouTubers' reactions to WWDC. A lot has changed, even as far as what I'm currently using as my daily driver. So we're going to talk about it all. But before we get started, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit. Monday comes along, it's WWDC, and we are treated to a ton of different software updates, but nothing truly revolutionary. And of course, all the rumors about all the new hardware that was supposed to be coming didn't happen. It never materialized. But my main concern was with, of course, the iPad Pro, mainly the M1 iPad Pro, and the updates that would be coming to iPad OS 15. We were sort of expecting a new file system, better multitasking, and professional apps. Some people were even expecting Mac OS. And let me clarify, if I haven't done it a million times at this point, that what I want is not Mac OS on the iPad Pro. I love iOS. I love iPad OS. I like the way that it's user-friendly, it's intuitive. It uses touch and mouse and keyboard input in a balanced way. You can tell that the interface was designed for touch, but it works pretty well with mouse and keyboard as well. And so what I wanted was never Mac OS to just be ported over to the iPad. What we wanted was professional apps, right? So you call it the iPad Pro, right? But it doesn't have Logic Pro. It doesn't have Final Cut Pro. It doesn't have Premiere Pro. It doesn't have Pixelmator Pro. Why are you calling it a Pro device? You even put the M1 chip, and again, what does M stand for? It stands for Mac. So even though it is just an A series chip meant to be in the iPad, and they really could have called it like a A14X or something like that, they literally, in the Spring Forward event, took the chip out of a Mac and put it in an iPad Pro. I mean, I understand it was cool to see the Mission Impossible type sequence, but you have to understand that people are going to be expecting something when you take the chip out of a Mac and put it in the iPad Pro. And it's not only that, but you give it 16 gigs of RAM, you give it a Thunderbolt port, and you give it an XDR display, the likes of which we haven't seen in a monitor under $5,000. And so to address some of the comments saying, you know, this is what happens when you get hyped up about rumors. No, it was not rumors at all. These were actual things that Apple was doing. Hey, you want an iPad that can match the stats of a MacBook Pro? We have one. It's called the M1 iPad Pro. You can get 2 terabytes of storage, 16 gigs of RAM, M1 chip. I mean, the whole nine it was all there. And so those were the decisions that Apple made, not rumors and leaks and things like that, that led me to believe that that was the direction that Apple was heading. Things have changed as far as what I'm using for my daily drivers right now. I know I did the MacBook Air unboxing video. There is a lot that I do like about iPad, and I do want to continue using it, but the difference now is I cannot use the iPad Pro as my main device. So I ordered the 3rd generation iPad Pro because truly there is nothing you could show me someone doing on the M1 iPad Pro that you couldn't do on the 2018 and 2020 iPad Pros. Sure, you might be able to do it a tiny bit faster, but nothing that can't be done on those previous models. So unfortunately, the Apple Store doesn't sell those now, or at least the one closest by my house has them all out of stock. So in the meantime, I picked up the iPad Air 4. And this is plenty fast. I don't like the Touch ID configuration on the sleep wake button, but you know, it is what it is, and it's only temporary. I think the iPad Pro 12.9 inch comes in on Saturday. So for all of those of you who are looking forward to all the best accessories and stuff for the iPad Pro, we're still going to do that entire series. I still have the keyboard case coming in from Bridge. I've still got other cases to compare it with, actually ones that will fit now, because a lot of the hard shell cases for iPad Pro, even though they were advertised to work with the 5th gen, many of them did not. So I was trying out a bunch of those. But yeah, all of that entire series, it's still coming. But right now I'm using this baby. So I will have some videos up on iPad OS 15 and kind of my reaction to it, going through the features and what exactly iOS 15 has done for pros. There isn't much, but I will go through it as I have been trying it out on the iPad Air 4. So we'll look into that. Be sure to stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, click the bell, of course, so that you can get a notification on your phone when I drop that video. But make no mistake about it, if you were like me expecting Pro apps to come to the iPad Pro, you weren't just gassing yourself up. They put Pro hardware on the M1 iPad Pro, and then they gave us nothing to do with it. Now, there's a slim chance that some of these apps could be released later in the year, like Logic Pro and Final Cut Pro, but I don't want to get anybody's hopes up about that. As of right now, it seems that Apple has made it very clear, abundantly clear, that what they want the iPad Pro to be is an extremely powerful device that you can't really run super professional apps on, so you still do need the Mac. And obviously for economy of scale, creating the M1 chip and then just putting it in the iPad. Here's the thing, Apple can call it whatever they want. I don't think as many people would have been angry if we saw that inside the M1 iPad Pro was the exact M1 chip, but they had just called it the A14X or something like that. That would have been a lot less of a letdown than literally calling it the same chip that is in the Macs right now doing professional work. It's in this Mac Mini that I also picked up, because for the price of the M1 iPad Pro, I was able to get the iPad Air 4 as well as a Mac Mini. So I've kind of got the best of both worlds right now. Now, one thing I have noticed, and let me know in the comments below if you've experienced this as well, the M1 Mac Mini, and this is the third one of these that I've had, it runs faster than the MacBook Air M1, which I got the 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, and even the MacBook Pro with an 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, and a fan. It runs faster, and this could be because of the bigger chassis and the fan, but even at low speeds and just responsiveness in very low single-core tasks, it seems more responsive. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you've been experiencing as well. So, as of right now, honestly, we're just waiting on Apple to unleash the iPad, and who knows if that's something that they're ever going to do. I mean, they never had a bigger chance to do it than this year with iPadOS 15, with the M1 iPad Pro releasing, and the expectations of all the world kind of waiting to see what they were going to do with the iPad, because I had talked to some people and we were all saying that the one device that has a chance to be revolutionary at this event would be the iPad if it came with, you know, these Pro apps. Everything else, 14, 16-inch MacBook Pro and stuff like that, they would have been powerful, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't change the way that we did everything. But the iPad truly coming into the professional market with professional apps on iPad OS, not on Mac OS, it would have wiped the floor with everything else in terms of the attention that it would have gotten right out of the event. So for those of you who didn't understand where I was coming from before, hopefully this explains a little bit of my thought process. Again, not based on rumors or anything like that, but based on hardware choices that Apple had previously made, as to why I expected Pro apps on the iPad Pro and why many other people did as well. Of course, this isn't the majority of people. They just want an iPad to be an iPad. But the thing I can't wrap my head around is it matches the specs of a MacBook Pro. It matches the price of a MacBook Pro in a lot of ways. But Apple is just holding it back arbitrarily with the software. So hopefully this is something that third-party developers just take completely out of Apple's hands, and they do make Premiere Pro and they do make DaVinci Resolve for the M1 iPad Pro, and then it would begin to become more attractive. Logic Pro, all these apps with Pro names on it, take the Pro off of M1 iPad Pro, because there's nothing really Pro that you can do with it that the iPad Air 4 just simply cannot do. But of course, thank you to you for watching this video, and of course, if you want to join the conversation, it's right down there in the comments below. I'll be chatting it up with you guys all week. I've got more videos on the way, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so that you get a notification on your phone when I drop brand new videos. Ton of content coming, of course, iPad accessories and stuff like that. I still love the iPad, still huge fan of the iPad. Don't forget, if you're into movies and TV shows, go check out Loki episode 1. I'm covering it on our second channel, WeSibs. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.